In 1936, George W. Trendle and Fran Stryker sat down to make a new hero for a radio broadcast on a local Detroit news station. They invented the story of a man who was, by day, the wealthy young publisher of the Daily Sentinel, but by night, joined by his valet Cato, was the Green Hornet, a masked hero armed with a gas gun and intuitive detective skills that helped him solve any mystery. So, in a move that would cause H. Bomber Guy to have an absolute conniption, Jim Chambers swapped some names and changed the guy's color palette from green to red, and the Crimson Avenger was born. Today we're talking about the Crimson Avenger, DC's first masked vigilante, and inarguable ripoff of a more successful IP. Before we begin, remember to leave a like on the video if you enjoy it, and if you like me and what I'm doing here, go ahead and subscribe. So, to the newbies, welcome. And to the oldies, welcome back. Let's talk about DC Comics. The Crimson Avenger was obviously closely derived from the Green Hornet, so closely in fact that the poor guy didn't even get a personalized origin story until 48 years after his debut. In the Earth 2 era, nearly all of his history is simply a duplicate of his Emerald Echo. Lee Travis was born into wealth and was the young publisher of The Globe Leader. Wanting to fight injustice, he donned the persona of the Crimson Avenger, aided by his valet Wing and armed with a gas gun. Wait, I think I'm repeating myself here. But you see my point. As was pretty common in the early age of comics, if something was successful, it wasn't uncommon to make a few teensy changes and call it your own thing. Okay, so what's different, if anything? Well, first off, Lee Travis was pretty dead set on playing the dual role of vigilante and philanthropist and wanted to do everything he could to keep himself off the list of potential suspects as to the Crimson Avenger's civilian identity. The Green Hornet did this too, but Crimson Avenger took an extra step. His most notable tactic was listing a reward for the capture of the Crimson Avenger, dead or alive. The reward was listed at a whopping $5,000, which is over $110,000 today. I really like to imagine how this would be adapted nowadays. Imagine J. Jonah Jameson doing all his hit pieces on Spider-Man, but in secret, Jameson is Spider-Man. Secondly, the local police absolutely hated Crimson Avenger, especially after they found him standing over a dead cop. If they spotted him after that day, they had orders to shoot on sight. In 1940, times started to change thanks to Superman's booming popularity, and Crimson Avenger changed too, from a generic mystery man into something more akin to a generic superhero. His costume was altered to reflect this, and they even gave him a cape for the first few issues before nixing that particular wardrobe choice. Then, in 44, he vanished. 28 years passed without a whisper, seemingly just another hero forgotten with the passing of the Golden Age. But then, unexpectedly, he returned in the 70s, still within the now cameo-grade confines of Earth 2 during the Silver Age. Here, he was one of the 7 Soldiers of Victory, a team of heroes consisting of himself, Green Arrow, Shining Knight, Speedy, the Star-Spangled Kid, Stripesy, and the Vigilante. They appeared as a way to kind of pay tribute to the otherwise abandoned members of the Golden Age, not wanting them all to fade into obscurity entirely. Wing was also an arguable 8th member, but well, he was excluded for being an infamously iffy character. We'll do a deep dive on Wing soon, and that's going to be a whole thing. Then we finally get an origin for the Crimson Avenger with his second iteration in New Earth, skipping Earth 1 entirely. This version of Crimson Avenger has 2 different origin issues stuffed into the same continuity. They mostly work together, so I'll be a pal and parse through it for you. Opening things up, Lee Travis was born in 1913 in Ohio. His family got hit by the Great Depression, like most people did, and they tried to make the most of it. Lee had a godfather, a fella named Winston Smythe, who owned the Globe Leader. So when Lee said he wanted to go into college for journalism but couldn't afford it, You bet old Moneybags put up the dosh to get that boy some learning done. Then, in 36, he joins the Spanish Civil War. Smythe isn't too pleased about it, but our lad doesn't care. He cares about doing what's right. Unfortunately, the whole endeavor is cut short when he gets shot in the leg 3 days in by a sniper. Discharged and back home, kind of sulking about the whole thing, Lee Travis gets a letter informing him that Winston has passed away and left his entire business to him to run independently at the mature age of 25. He does a good enough job of it and makes a point of publishing international news where neighboring publishers won't, possibly to make up for his feeling that he couldn't do more in person before taking a round in the leg. It's fairly progressive in that regard, but it also gives him a cockiness that makes him feel like he is the only one who can sympathize with international tragedy, even above others who come from said country. At least Wing calls him out on it. But let's focus on the hero part of our hero origin. It's the day before Halloween, and Lee Travis is expected to attend the Van Gilder Ball, which is a charity event for Chinese war relief. Lee realizes last minute that it's a masquerade and starts to panic, but thankfully his secretary knows what's up and had already ordered a backup outfit for him, a highway robber. He attends the ball, which includes a quick freakout because the event falls on the same day as the real-world broadcast of War of the Worlds, and it sends a few guests spiraling. A tip of the hat to the real premiere date of Crimson Avenger aligning with the broadcast. Some punks, taking advantage of the confusing moment, rock up in really detailed alien costumes, rob all the folks of their valuables and donations, and blast two people who put up a protest, one of which is a woman Lee was starting to possibly maybe get smitten with. Oh hey, is that a fridge? Hey little guy, bet we'll be seeing plenty of you in the future. So yeah, the love interest gets a few bullets in the gut, mumbles a few nondescript Latin words, and dies in Lee's arms. He sets out to chase down the robbers and gets into a high-speed chase with his valet Wing behind the wheel. He takes out the robbers, retrieves the bag of loot, and finds a golden lighter belonging to the late lady with an inscription of those same Latin words, which translate to, "The Avenger will come." Thus begins his career as the Crimson Avenger. Maybe? The timeline gets real fuzzy from here. Deciphering what I can from the next origin story, it looks like Lee's preceding move was to keep the highway robber outfit and pretend to be one of the bad guys, operating under the guise of a gang lord to learn everything he could about the criminal underground and dismantle it from within. Then, after feeling particularly disheartened by the way of the world, Lee Travis simply gives up. We don't have a specific example as to why he came to that conclusion, so let's call it vigilantism burnout. He travels and starts a backpacking trip in the Himalayas, not fully intending to come back. He collapses on the outer territory of Nanda Parbat, a place of great mystic significance in the DC universe. He's nursed back to health by a devotee of Ramakrishna, but they explain that his soul requires healing as well. He relents and tries to figure things out for himself within the temples of this secret society. After some time, however, he makes a prayer to Ramakrishna directly, and she listens. She takes Lee on a soul journey through time to reveal to him what he needed to see, something special yet to come. Superman. The pair of spectral peepers watch Superman's story unfold, years' worth of adventures divulged to Lee in an afternoon. Then, Doomsday. The vision ends with the death of Superman, and Lee wonders what it all means. Ramakrishna explains, in summary, that Superman helped, or I guess will help, everyone down to the smallest person, and that's why people loved him. Or will love him. It's explained in a really convoluted way that Superman is the person that Crimson Avenger is avenging? Or pre-venging? Oy vey. So he comes back home, starts showing off his new fashion inspired by his recent mystic experience, and joins up with the Seven Soldiers of Victory. Later, Crimson Avenger time travels alongside some other schmucks and finds himself in the modern age of the 1990s. He packs it in pretty much immediately. I mean, when you've got Power Girl, who needs the Crimson Avenger? Sometime later, he's in the hospital, diagnosed with a seemingly undiscovered illness that'll leave him dead in about a week. Headcanon moment, I would love it if they circled around to saying it was McGregor syndrome, like Mr. Freeze's wife, Nora. That'd be fun. Though they'd have to break Crimson Avenger out of mothballs for that, so fat chance. As if on cue, as he contemplates his own mortality within the hospital room, Lee Travis sees a ship in transit, signaling an SOS. Always the hero, he suits up as the Crimson Avenger, one last time. The ship is carrying experimental chemicals, and some modern-day pirates are trying to commandeer the vessel. Crimson Avenger hops on board, kicks some butt, and frees the crew. But a fire breaks out during the fight, and those chemicals look pretty explodey. So the Crimson Avenger stays behind the wheel of the ship, steering it away from the harbor until the inevitable. That's the end of his story. The Crimson Avenger makes one appearance in Prime Earth, essentially cementing his death, while using some time travel mumbo-jumbo so that he can give a proper goodbye to his fellow masked allies. It's a hero's death, and that's a good enough send-off to DC's first masked hero. And that's where we'll leave our story for now. If you really enjoyed the video, hopefully enough to have left a like and subscribed, you'll be happy to know that we also have a video available here on Giovanni Zatara, another DC hero who started out looking like a copy of somebody else's homework. Thanks for sticking with us. I'll see you in the next one.